And the whole point of this is not to waste your time. When you're talking to somebody, you want to find out as soon as possible if this person is right for you. Because if they're not, there's no point carrying on. What is going on, guys? Josh Love Talk here, back again with another dating video. Today's video, I want to look at 5 things you should pay attention to when you're dating. Before you say yes to that relationship, pay attention to these 5 things. They are very, very important. Before I get into it, please subscribe, hit the bell so you know when I post my videos. When you're dating, the first thing you want to pay attention to is consistency. Consistency is basically their patterns of behavior or communication over a period of time. If you're talking to somebody and they are not consistent, so they're here today, gone tomorrow, they talk to you for a few days and then they disappear, you're always wondering where you stand, you're not sure if this person is into you like that, you're just going off of your own feelings and your own assumptions, that is not the right situation for you. You want to pay attention to that. Don't think, they just being like that. Don't overlook it. That is very important because consistency shows how much they're interested in you. Consistency shows how much they're willing to invest in you. So if somebody's not consistent, you want to take care before you go ahead. And the best way to know if someone is consistent is to introduce your boundaries as early as possible. So let them know whatever your boundaries are, whether it's no sex before marriage, or whether it's spiritual factors, value factors, whatever your boundaries are, introduce that as early as possible. Because when people hear boundaries they don't like or they feel like they're not going to meet, they start to flake. They're calling you every day, it's going to turn to once a week, once a month, and then they disappear. So introduce your boundaries as early as possible, and that will test your consistency. You want to pay attention to that. The second thing you want to pay attention to is compatibility. When I'm talking about compatibility, I'm not talking about we like the same restaurants, or we're both foodies, we like the same music, we like to go to the same bars, we like doing the same things. Don't get me wrong, that's cool. That's also important. But I'm talking about mental, emotional, and spiritual compatibility. So emotional compatibility, you're both there emotionally. We're both heading in the same direction. We are both healed. We are both in the same place. We're secured in ourselves emotionally to want to progress the situation. Mentally, we can relate on the same level. We're not too far apart. So it's not like you're having this conversation and they don't have a clue what you're talking about. They can relate with you. Of course, you don't have to be on the same level, but it's not like you're talking to a wall. They get it, or at least they can try to be on your level. And spiritually, it just means it's nothing physical. You're building something spiritually. Now, what this does for you is it helps to build friendship, because when you're compatible with somebody emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you want to talk to them all the time. Right? You want to talk to them all the time. You want to spend quality time with them. And when you do this, this builds friendship. Now, anybody that's been in a relationship, marriage, long term, that's successful will tell you that friendship is the cornerstone of every successful relationship. If there's no friendship, sooner or later, that relationship is going to break apart. Even if it's not apart physically, emotionally, it's going to be apart. And you need friendship, because the attraction and the vibes, that's gonna fade off. And I know it's in the beginning it's like amazing, but it's going to fade off. Even the physical is going to fade off. Over time, it's going to fade off. And what you need is friendship to keep it going. When the attraction dips, when the sex dips, friendship will keep you going and you still be having a great time. So pay attention to how compatible both of you are. The third thing you want to pay attention to is how they handle conflict or differences. When it comes to relationships, serious relationships and long-term relationships, conflict is one of the biggest things that you would have to deal with. Differences is one of the biggest things you have to deal with. If they cannot handle differences or conflicts, your relationship is going to struggle. It's going to be toxic, actually. So you want to find out how they react when things are not going their way, when you disagree with them, when there's a conflict, what do they do? Do they go smash something? Do they start shouting? Do they get verbally abusive? Do they just disappear? Like there are some people that when things go wrong, when there's a disagreement, they just go off the radar. They don't talk to you, they just disappear. You don't want that. That's something you want to pay attention to. Now I understand people on different levels, but at least it should be someone that's willing to listen, right? Not somebody that just goes off completely. So you want to pay attention to how they handle conflict, because if they're not handling conflict the right way, that relationship might be toxic. And what's going to help you? Because I noticed that when it comes to dating, sometimes we're passive because we like this person. We don't want to be too forward. We don't want to get on the nerves. So we're very accepting of some of the things that they do. If you're talking to somebody, you're serious about getting into a relationship, don't be passive, be active. If you feel something, say it. Of course, delivery matters. Don't just speak anyhow because you're going to run them off. But say what you feel. Bring out those things. Let both parties know where they stand. Let them know each of his characters. Let them know your character, and that way you're going to see their character. If you're passive, they're just going to think they've got a free ride. You're agreeable. It's all good. I'm not saying like disagree for the sake of disagreeing, but where you have something to add, don't be passive. Don't just hold back. Don't be just sheepish and shy. Speak your mind. And that way you're going to get their true character, and you see how they really deal with differences and how they deal with conflicts. The fourth thing you want to pay attention to is their value system. We're living in a time where when it comes to dating, everyone just cares about how much money somebody has and how good they are in bed. Those things are cool, but they're not everything. Essentially, value is what determines character, and character is what determines how this person is going to treat you. So pay attention to their value system. What is their value when it comes to relationships? How do they see the role of a man and a woman in a relationship? What is their view on that? How do they see that? What is their value when it comes to money? What is their value when it comes to finance? What is their value when it comes to people? How do they treat people they don't know? What is their value spiritually? You want to know all those things before you say yes and get into a relationship. Now, it's not to say that one value is right or wrong. It's basically to find out what works for you, to see if that is the kind of person you want to be with. So you want to find that out as early as possible. If you're not seeing anything, don't be in a rush to get into that relationship. Don't be in a rush to get into that relationship, because it might just be that they are not being genuine. So find out what their value system is. Because, like I said, it's the value that's going to determine their character, and their character determines how they are going to treat you. The last thing you want to look out for is their willingness to give. See, I believe that relationships are ideal for givers, right? Ideally, relationships are for givers, because when you get in a relationship, really and truly, all you're doing is giving, right? Sadly, you have some people that are just in there for what they can get. So these are takers. But you want to be with a giver, because when two givers are together, that relationship is going to be so sweet and so nice, because no one has been starved. You're both pouring into one another. And that way, both of you will grow together, and both of you will have a good relationship. So pay attention to how they give. Now, some people give from a place of insecurity. So they give in so they can get. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that give and expect nothing back. They're giving because your happiness, your joy is what matters to them. And that's what you want to pay attention to. If you're dating somebody that is not giving, you're always the one giving, or you always have to ask before you receive, you might not want to get into that relationship, because that might not serve you in the long run. Those are the 5 things I feel is so important for you to look out for before you get into a relationship. Now, no one is perfect. People might not have all of these things at a very high level when you meet them, but those things should be present. I think all those 5 things are so important that you should be able to see traces of them in the person you're talking to. If you don't see the traces, you might want to reconsider before you get on. And the whole point of this is not to waste your time. When you're talking to somebody, you want to find out as soon as possible if this person is right for you. Because if they're not, there's no point carrying on. That's it for me, guys. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next one.